So my name's Tom and I'm a 24-year-old privateer cyclist from the UK. And one of the most frequently asked questions I get is, what's a privateer cyclist and why did I even become one in the first place? So I thought it would be interesting to put together a little video breaking down the reasons why I chose this pathway, and I guess my advice for anyone looking to also make the step into the life of a privateer, because it's still a fairly new topic. So I think the first question to answer is, what the hell is a privateer cyclist in the first place? Well, effectively, it's a rider who rides and races independently. They don't have a team and are instead effectively their own team. I'm effectively the only rider in the team. I'm also the team manager, I'm also the mechanic, I'm also the photographer, videographer. Literally everything falls on your shoulders, really. So a lot of people just assume you become a privateer cyclist because you can't get a team and don't have any other options. And don't get me wrong, that sometimes is the case. In my case, it certainly wasn't. I did have the choice to go and ride for different teams in the UK, but it was very much a personal choice to ride independently for myself. Now, I think professional cycling isn't everything that it's made out to be. I spent a few years chasing that dream, and don't get me wrong, I'm not naive. I knew it was going to be bloody hard work, but I think professional cycling is a lot harder than people anticipate. The hours that you have to commit day in, day out, no matter the weather conditions, and yeah, you watch on TV and it looks great riding the Tour de France, some pretty cool places they race their bikes in. It's not all glitz and glamour. It's a lot of hard work behind the scenes, early mornings, late evenings, travelling day in, day out to get to different races, and a lot of the time you don't have the choice. You get told what races you're going to be racing and what plane to catch, and off you go. You're not really set, you don't have a routine, and you're not set in one place for particularly long periods of time unless you're one of the top riders such as Van der Poel, Pogacar, one of those riders. And at one point I sort of lost the love for cycling a little bit. It became something that I felt like I had to do rather than because I wanted to do, if that makes any sense whatsoever. I was chasing this dream, and actually I got so caught up in chasing that dream that I lost the joy for the process. And then I sort of got into a bit of a spiral, then ended up for racing for UK teams, balancing jobs alongside to fund it all, and it just got to the point where it wasn't really sustainable. And yeah, I was looking at the bigger picture and started working a 9-to-5 a fair few years ago now, and sort of found a new passion when cycling became a choice alongside my job. I actually started to enjoy my riding more, which is a funny thing to say, but yeah, it's because, like I mentioned, it became a choice rather than something I had to do. Once I made that decision, I didn't want to go pro. I had the idea of riding for myself. Now, this was back in around 2024 when the word privateer didn't even really exist. So I was literally just going to ride for myself when, in about December time, Ribble messaged me on Instagram and reached out with a pretty exciting opportunity to effectively ride for their Ribble collective, which was the start of the process of becoming a privateer cyclist. The Ribble collective setup followed a similar setup to a professional team in the fact that you got given a bike, kits, helmets, shoes, nutrition, but actually you got given the flexibility to do the races and events that you wanted to do. And it opened my eyes up to this whole new world. And yeah, over the years I've just gradually refined and worked out what I really wanted to do to be where I am today, effectively. And yeah, where I've now set up what is effectively my own professional team, which yeah, I've called the Ribble Hunt Racing Team for 2026, and there'll be more on that in a future date, what the kit bike looks like. But yeah, I sort of transitioned from having the support network of Ribble to essentially going entirely solo. Now, from the outside, this can look fantastic, like, whoa, they're doing what they want to do, and actually there's a lot of hard work behind the scenes that people don't see. I touched upon earlier how everything effectively lands on yourself as a privateer, and I think that's the thing that is the hardest. It's the time management, it's the balancing a full-time job around creating content, around race logistics, around training, bike mechanics. It can be a lot at times, but to me, that's what I love. I love having that routine and structure that I can control, whilst also having the flexibility to effectively enter and do the events that I want to do. So this year, I've probably got the most varied race calendar, I would say, out of any cyclist within the UK. I'm racing gravel, everything from the Tracker to the Rift out in Iceland, as well as road racing. I'll be doing a few crits, so hopefully the London Nocturne, as well as the National Crit Series. And then even, a few triathlons. I've entered London, Blenheim Palace, one up in the Lake Districts that involves running up Helvellyn, and then into some cyclocross in the winter. Now, I do this because I absolutely love having a huge range of disciplines to keep it exciting and interesting, but another reason is actually giving back to sponsors. Now, if a brand supports you, you need to effectively give them an ROI, a return of their investment. So if they're giving you products, you need to give them brand exposure. Now, there's, I would say, 3 different ways to do that. There's, firstly, results. And this is probably more your typical racer person would fall into this category, and they go and win races. And as winning races, that basically is social proof that the products that they're using are the best in the business because they've gone and won races. The problem with this is that people only know if they're using those products if they create social media content, and more often than not, this is not the case, which is where influencers come in. And these people aren't so necessarily focused on race results, but more focused on views, sales, and effectively creating content for brands. The third person is the person who blends the two of these. So it's more of an ambassador-based role, potentially. I don't think it probably has a name, but it's someone who creates content for brands but can also get results to back up this content. Now, this is the smallest bracket. There's not many people doing this, and I would like to class myself in this bracket. Obviously, I'm not a professional cyclist. I don't have the race results such as Pogačar, but I would say I can still get a fairly few decent results. I was third at Battle on the Beach a couple of weeks ago. I won a fair few races, such as the Gralic, 19 to 34 age group last year. And sort of that backs up the content and the equipment that I'm using. So I'm promoting the brands and the equipment that I'm using, but backing that up with the race results that I can get. Now, I do think there is a slight issue in social media and the things that you see online at the minute. You go onto Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and you just get fed ads after ads after ads. Influencers promoting a different product week in, week out. Now, don't get me wrong, I know these people need to make a living, and these brands are paying them a fair few bucks to promote said products, but it is just so inauthentic. If they're promoting different brands in the same category week after week, I just don't know how you can trust this. So a big thing for me is only working with brands whose products I truly believe in and would go out and buy myself. and also working with brands on not just one-off projects. So take Ribble, this will be my 4th year riding Ribble bikes. Hunt Wheels, my 3rd year riding Hunt Wheels, and like the reason being, Hunt, they're based down the road from me, so nice local brands. Again, Ribble, they're a British based brand. All their bikes are hand built in the UK. Like, I've got no reason to fault their bikes. They look great, they ride great. I've got more wins than I've ever had before on their bikes, so why would I want to ride anything else? It just wouldn't make sense. So yeah, I think just taking what you see online with a pinch of salt is super important. But yeah, it's a thing I'm very conscious of, being a privateer, because effectively the brands who support me make it a viable option, and I'm extremely lucky in the fact that I get countless brands reaching out to me on a weekly, monthly basis, and it'd be great if I could take them all on, but actually probably more often than not I say no, just because I don't think they fit with my personal brand that I'm trying to build and the content style that I create. I've even had some brands in the past reach out to me and say, look, we'd love to give you X, in return you produce Y, but you can only say positive things about the brand. And yeah, that shouldn't be the case. I should be saying stuff about the products that I'm using that are my own words, my own personal opinions. I shouldn't be being told to say specific stuff about the products. So yeah, just something I'm very conscious about, because like I mentioned, these brands that support me make being a privateer cyclist a viable option. But yeah, that is the beauty of being a privateer. You have complete flexibility, like I mentioned earlier, the races that you choose, but also the products that you use, because you don't have a team where you are given the bike, the kit, the helmets, the shoes. You can choose all of that. So yeah, I mean, it's a very lucky, privileged position to be in, but one I'm very conscious about. So yeah, hopefully that's a fairly interesting insight into behind the scenes of a privateer cyclist. Now, I've got some big plans for this year, which I touched upon earlier, with the likes of the Rift, heading out to Spain next week for the Tracker, as well as some crits racing and triathlons. And yeah, as part of my ROI, return of investment brands that have supported me this year, obviously content is going to play a big factor in that for brand visibility, and also just because I love creating content and it's something that I want to get better at, trying to stop rambling too much and actually create meaningful content people really want to watch and get something from. So yeah, the plan is to create more behind the scenes content of racing and training. So if you fancy following along for the journey, the best way to keep up to date is obviously subscribing. And yeah, obviously appreciate every brand who supports me, as well as everyone who watches this video, likes, comments. It all helps go a long way. So yeah, thanks for sticking around, and no doubt catch you out there soon.